Shigeru Miyamoto used to be right, but he ain't right no more. Hello humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you pound that like button and subscribe for me. If you like these kind of videos, you keep supporting the channel. Listen guys, whatever we thought we knew is gone, right? The perceptions that I used to have about the video game industry are completely destroyed, and I've been thinking this for a while. I haven't had time to make a video about it, but here we go. What we used to think is our most absolute law when it came to game making was Shigeru Miyamoto's law that we had back in the day. A delayed game is eventually good, but a rush game is forever bad. That no longer holds to be true. That is not a case you can make anymore. Why? Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk 2077 has completely broken the rules when it comes to that. Let's take you back. Let's take you back to that horrendous launch. It was terrible. I mean, it's about as bad as you can get, right? This game was one of the most anticipated games, right? In the last decade, I want to say. Pre-COVID, there was already hype. There was hype in the magazines. There was hype everywhere for this game. I was hyped for the game. I even bought the book. And I couldn't believe in what condition the game came out, specifically for consoles, right? They were struggling with it. Now, let me ask you this question. What would have happened if Project Red would have, just shipped the game 100% complete, polished? I think maybe they could have sold another 5 million copies. Maybe they sold 13 million at launch, and it still became one of the best-selling RPGs of all time. But it could have done better, at least at launch. But to tell you the truth, at the end of the day, being eventually becoming a billion-dollar franchise, who cares? Who cares? Right? The launch was horrible, right? And if you would have had a smooth launch, then maybe that rocky start that you had back in the day wouldn't have guided you to make a better game, right? Because in the wake of the disastrous launch of Cyberpunk 2077, you saw a decline in sales throughout 2021, 2022. And those figures are not publicly available, guys. I'm going to put a link down to my Substack to where I was able to find some figures that I'm going to give you here. Whether it's the billion or whether it's the 752 million that they made throughout 2024. I don't know if they kind of combined all those figures, but, it's broken the billion barrier according to Reuters now. And that was its arc to redemption, right? If the game wasn't so broken, I don't think they would have released Phantom Liberty, right? Which really was a turning point for the franchise. It brought in an 81.5% increase in revenue compared to 2022, right? Which is, I think, around $213 million, back then. So that would have been 2023, I guess. But if it wasn't for that, they wouldn't have seen a resurgence in interest, right? Even though they had a flawed launch, and that's the best way I can describe it. If you guys can remember, there was meltdowns by YouTubers. The magazines were slamming the game. I mean, it was horrible, right? It was horrible. But this game has broken all the norms, right? By November of 2024, Cyberpunk had generated over $752 million for 2024, according to Reuters. And I'll put, again, those links will be in the article. The game has sold over 30 million copies, proving nowadays that even the most disastrous of launches, and this was a notorious one in gaming history, could still result in long-term financial success. That's crazy, right? That kind of revenue after disaster is not common, right? And we've seen only a couple of games do this, and I think I'm going to cover them. But, a lot of these games are often unfinished, and, you need DLCs and, updates to fix them. And a lot of the updates they sell to you. So they get you again, right? Once you're hooked into the game. But this is a different era. Everything that I knew, right, growing up, no longer holds true. Shigeru Miyamoto's most absolute law, that a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad, no longer holds to be true. Right? That nothing can be further from the truth if you have enough money. Right? In the past, when we were growing up, a broken game, for us retro gamers, if a game came out and it was either incomplete or had a bunch of bugs, it meant that it was unplayable and there was no patches. You couldn't fix it. It was done. The game was dead. Right? But today, in today's industry, different rules apply. It really does. Because this has broken all the rules that you may have thought of in the past. Especially for us retro gamers, this completely blew my mind once I learned about it. Now, while Cyberpunk 2077 ultimately became profitable, it really sets a precedent, maybe a dangerous one for a lot of companies. You can't just throw money at something. You got to cut it loose, especially, when you're spending hundreds of millions of dollars developing these things. You see what happened to Sony. A la Concord. They just let it go. Could they patch that game? I don't know. I don't think they have the wherewithal to, or the capability with the kind of personnel they had for that game to do something similar, right? Despite all this, Cyberpunk 2077 stands as an example and testament of the resilience of today's AAA gaming market, where a company, if it's big enough, can weather the storm. And with the right marketing and good gameplay, they can come out of the hole and eventually be profitable, right? Like this is incredible. The number of these guys are, eventually put up. If you would have asked me back in the day, I would have never guessed it. I don't know anything about this market. I have to learn, right? I do have to learn, study some more. I don't own this company. I don't invest in it. But if I would have bought low during the launch of Cyberpunk 2077, because that would have been the lowest point in the company. That would have been the point to buy stock. But man, they really proved Shigeru Miyamoto wrong. His absolute law no longer holds true. What do you guys think? Are you still playing it? I think I'm going to jump back in as soon as I'm able to play video games again on a regular basis, man. Because these new images that I'm seeing look amazing. But, that first trailer was pretty cool too. I mean, that's what made us want to buy the game in the first place. Regardless, guys, tell me what you think. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.
New videos every Monday and Sunday. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Gen X Gamer. Remember to like and subscribe, click that notification bell, and remember, never ever be afraid to be happy. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.